students, make sure you study chapter 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 before taking this exercise. Prepare some pieces of paper or pen or pencil to write your answer. There will be about 2 or 3 seconds after each question for you to write your answer before the answer key is given. And then after finish the exercise, check your answer, how many are correct and how many are incorrect. Repeat the process until you get 100% correct answer. And make sure these 100% correct answers are based on your knowledge, not based on your guessing. It is very likely that you will get a very good score on your exam too if you follow this instruction correctly. Okay, so we'll start with number 1. Energy is defined as A, B, C, or D. So see, this is the definition of energy. Energy is the capacity to do work. That's the definition of energy. The ultimate source of energy for humans come from what source? A, B, C, or D? Yes, so the energy for human and also for other organism on Earth, this is actually coming from one source, the ultimate source, which is the light, the sunlight. Organisms that can manufacture their own chemical energy are called A, B, C, or T. Okay, so this is actually organism that able to make their own food, harvest the light energy, and make the food. So food, trope. So trope mean food. Okay, so organism that able to make their own self, yeah, is called auto. Auto means self. So they're able to create or to produce their own food using the light energy. Okay, so this is called the autotroph. Autotroph is also known as the photosynthetic organism. Organism that are able to use light, which is photo, to synthesis their food. Okay, so synthetic organism, which is plants. This is going to be the green plants and algae. Okay, so these are the autotroph organism. And because they produce the food from to other or for other organism, this autotroph is also known as producer. Okay, so that's the answer should be, which is the autotroph. Carbon dioxide and water can combine to form glucose, water, and oxygen. Okay. What is required for that process to occur? So basically, okay, carbon dioxide and water, so plus water, can combine to create a bigger molecule. Okay, so this molecule is actually glucose, which is, this is the food actually. And then it will release the oxygen. Okay, so this is the reaction. So we need to balance the reaction. So we need 6 carbon dioxide, 6 water to produce 1 glucose and 6 release 6 oxygen. Okay, this is the reaction. This is called the synthesis. Okay, so synthesis is a reaction that create a bigger molecule from smaller molecules. Now, this reaction cannot be done without energy. So it should be energy enter into this reaction. And this energy is coming from light, and light is photo. So photo mean light. So based on this reaction, then you know this reaction, based on this information, you know this reaction is called the photosynthesis. Right? So which one is what is required for that process to occur? This one over here, which is the light energy here over here, the light energy from the sun. That's the one that's required for photosynthesis. In eukaryote, photosynthesis takes place inside the eukaryotic cell, plant. Okay, this is plants, algae, cell. They have cell wall and cell membrane. Inside their cytoplasm, they have special organelle that is used to produce glucose, which is used for photosynthesis. And this organelle is called chloroplast. Okay, so chloroplast is used for photosynthesis to produce the food from light. So that should be the answer. Okay, chloroplast mean green organelle. That's the reason why plant and algae they have a green color. Okay, next one. Flattened sac of internal membrane associated with photosynthesis are called A, B, C, or D. So again, we're gonna make this plant cell. It has chloroplast, right? Chloroplast. Okay. Inside the chloroplast, they have flattened uh, membrane or sac. Okay. And each of these flattened sac, if you put like a coin, yeah, so this is one coin, another coin. So each coin is called the thylakoid. Okay, so this is called the thylakoid. And this thylakoid, if you see, is making a stack. Each stack over here, okay, eh, that stack is called the uh, grana, or one stack is going to be granum. Many stack is going to be grana. Okay, so thylakoid will stack together to make granum or grana, and uh, these structures are located inside the chloroplast. Okay, so again, the question is the flattened sac is called the thylakoid. Visible light has a wavelength range of blank. So this is the light or the spectrum color that our eyes can see, okay? Which is between 400 to 700 uh, nanometer wavelength. Okay, so this is wavelength that we can see with our own eyes between 400 to the 700. Okay, the shorter the wavelength is gonna be carry higher energy. Okay, the longer the wavelength is carry, uh, if it is higher, then it's gonna be uh, lower lower energy. Okay. So between 400 to 740. Okay, so 700 or 740 over here. Molecule that absorb light are called, so any molecule or chemical that absorb light is called A, B, C, or D. It is called pigment. So pigment is related to color. Okay, so basically there will be several type of pigments based on the color of the spectrum from 400 to 740 nanometer. Okay, so pigment is the name of molecule that absorb light. What color of light is not strongly absorbed by chlorophyll? Now again, when we talk about the plant cell, okay, again it has chloroplast, okay, and then in chloroplast they have granum or grana with thylakoid, okay, thylakoid structure, which is flattened sac, okay. So in this thylakoid they have pigment, okay. That pigment is called chlorophyll, okay, chlorophyll. So chlorophyll, so green. Okay, why this plant cell, like the leaf, for example, green have green color because it has a lot of chlorophyll in the leaf. This green is because of green spectrum, okay, or color, eh, is reflected. Reflected. It's not absorbed. So basically, chlorophyll will not absorb the green color, not absorb. So which one is not absorbed by the chlorophyll? It's going to be green. This green will be reflected to our eyes. Therefore, we see green color because the green is not absorbed by the leaf, but it is reflected by the leaf. Okay, so it's green color. Cluster of chlorophyll and accessory pigments are called, again, I'm gonna draw this plant cell. Okay, again, it has chloroplast. Okay, it has thylakoid. Okay, it has thylakoid with granum. Okay, making a granum. And then there will have color pigment. Okay, color. And these actually have different pigment like chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, then beta carotenoid. Eh, all of this is creating what we call the system. Okay. And because this system able to absorb light, which is photo, okay, that system is called the photosystem. So basically, in this chloroplast, in the thylakoid membrane, they have a system of pigment or color that able to absorb light, and that system is called the photosystem. In green plant, which photosystem absorb photons to excite electron in the reaction center? Okay, so what is photon first? Photon is the light energy. Okay, so that's the name of the light energy is called the photon. So basically, again, we have this plant cell, okay, and we have the chloroplast, okay, and it has thylakoid, okay. Each of this is called a thylakoid, And the thylakoid has a membrane. It's called a thylakoid membrane. Okay, so this is one is thylakoid membrane. Okay, and this thylakoid membrane has a system. There are two photosystems actually, photosystem 1 and 2. Okay? The light that coming into this leaf, okay, will go to the first photosystem is actually photosystem 2. Okay, okay, will absorb the photon. So this is the photon enter into photosystem 2, and then the electron will be transferred to the photosystem 1. Okay, so photosystem 2 first, and then photosystem 1. So the one that absorb the photon will be photosystem 2. So it's maybe you confuse why it's not one first and two. The reason is because the photosystem over here is actually and the one that is found is photosystem 1, okay? And then they know that, oh, there is another photosystem that actually absorbs the light. And then they give name as photosystem 2. And basically the function is photosystem 2 first that will absorb the light and then transfer that energy or electron into photosystem 1. So this name is just based on the how the which one is first found in the research from the research. So the one that absorbs the light or the photon is actually photosystem 2. Okay, uh, and then from system 2 will transfer energy or electron to photosystem 1. Which photosystem absorb photon to excite electron in the reaction center? Okay, so basically it's asking you both of these photosystems. Sorry, so it's not, yeah, just over here, I actually explaining to you the one that work first is actually as a photosystem 1, photosystem 2, and then go to photosystem 1. But both system is called a photosystem 1 and 2. Let's check over here. Yeah, photosystem 1 and 2 for this answer. Uh, this one is kind of correct too. Okay, now if we know, we talk about the order of the transfer. What product of light reaction of photosynthesis are used in Calvin cycle? Now, I'm gonna just draw the thylakoid. Okay, so this is the thylakoid. Okay, remember this thylakoid is located in the chloroplast. So this is chloroplast, right? Chloroplast. And it has many thylakoid. Now, that thylakoid has thylakoid membrane and it has photosystem. This is photosystem 2. And there's another photosystem. It's called photosystem 1. Okay, so photosystem 1, 2, photosystem 1. Light enter to photon over here, the light energy will excite the will be absorbed by photosystem 2, and then electron will be transferred here to photosystem 1. Another light will be coming over here, which is photon, and then the electron will be transferred, transport, that's the reason what's called the electron transport chain over here, into a enzyme. Okay, and this enzyme, the one that will reduce the NADP plus, okay, into NADPH. So this electron over here will be used to reduce NADP plus into NADPH. So this is going to be the product. One product over here. Right? There's going to be 6 produced from this reaction. So NAPDH, that's the first product. Now, over here, yeah, electron is going to be used also to like trigger the entrance of hydrogen ions, which is the proton, into the lumens of thylakoid. Okay. So this is a lumen of thylakoid. Okay, so this is the lumen of thylakoid. Okay. And then over here, the proton will be used, okay, to produce ATP. Okay, so that's gonna be the second product of this light reaction, which is the ATP, okay, and the NADPH. Okay, now maybe I have to explain first that the photosynthesis. So photosynthesis, it has two main steps. The first step is called the light reaction. Okay, the second one's gonna be dark reaction, but it is called the Calvin cycle. Okay, so there's two main reaction or step for photosynthesis. The one over here is the light reaction, and the product's going to be ATP and ADPH. And this ATP and ADPH will be used for the Calvin cycle later. Okay, so this should be the answer for this question. And ADPH is made by okay, this is light reaction, which is passing the electron. So if you follow the previous explanation, the electron will be transported from photosystem 2 to photosystem 1, and then finally into the enzyme that produce the NADPH. The enzyme is called the NADP reductase. This is the one that produce the NADPH. So this should be the answer. In photosynthesis, carbon fixation occur in photosystem 1, in the electron transport chain, in the photosystem 2, or in the Calvin cycle. Again, photosynthesis, okay. This is, let's say the formula first. 6 water plus 6 carbon dioxide light or photon produce okay the glucose plus 6 oxygen, right? That's the main formula. Okay, and it has two steps. The first one is light reaction. Okay, this light reaction is actually using this. Okay, convert the water, using the light energy to produce ATP and NADPH. So that's the one that will be converted first or used first in this reaction, which is water. Okay, so water used during light reaction. The second reaction is called Calvin cycle. Okay, this is the one that use this. Okay, so it's gonna be go to the Calvin cycle, and then Calvin cycle has three stages. Okay, the first one is called the carbon fixation. Second one is called the carbon reduction. Okay, and the last process is called the regeneration. Okay, so based on this information, then you should be able to answer this question. The carbon fixation is actually part of the Calvin cycle. So it should be this answer over here. In which chloroplast are the Calvin cycle enzymes located? So again, if we, let's say, this is the plant cell. Okay, again, it has special organelle is called chloroplast. Okay, and chloroplast consists of thylakoid stack. Okay, with the membranes, like a membranes, many of them. Okay, and this chloroplast actually has two layers. Okay, outer layer and the inner layer. And it has inside over here, it's called the stroma. So the inside of chloroplast is called the stroma. And again, just remember over here, it's thylakoid. So this one is thylakoid. And thylakoid has membrane. It also have the thylakoid lumen. Okay. And again, this is the one that will produce an ADPH and also produce the ATP during light reaction. Okay, so this NADPH and ATP then will be ready or uh, available for the next process. It's called the Calvin cycle. And this Calvin cycle is going to be occurring in the stroma. And for this reaction, remember, is required the carbon dioxide and light reaction using water. Okay, now from this information, yeah, the Calvin cycle will be in the stroma. In the light independent reaction, okay, so light independent reaction is the same as dark reaction or Calvin cycle. Okay, so don't be confused. The other reaction is called the light reaction or light dependent reaction. So light independent reaction is the same as a Calvin cycle. When carbon dioxide is added to a molecule of ribulose 1,5 biphosphate or RUBP, the product is okay. So this is Calvin cycle, which is happening in the stroma. Okay, stroma of the chloroplast. Okay, this is basically a cycle then going this way. Okay, so it has RUBP over here. And then the carbon enter into reaction, which is carbon dioxide. And the final product that's going to be used, produced is called the uh, glyceride phosphate. Okay, so it's called the glyceride 3 phosphate. This is the final product. So in the photosynthesis, there will be two Calvin cycle happening at one time. So carbon dioxide is going to be three carbon dioxide over here, three carbon dioxide enter on the first Calvin cycle and then the second Calvin cycle. And the second Calvin cycle will also produce G3P, which is a molecule that has three carbon. When you adding this together, the two molecule that has three carbon will create the molecule that has six carbon, which is the glucose, the glucose. Okay, so basically the two Calvin cycle over here, they will couple together to produce the glucose. And remember again, the reaction for photosynthesis is like this. This is going to be light, the glucose and oxygen produced. Okay, so this requires 2 Calvin cycle in order to produce this 1 molecule of glucose. So basically, in 1 Calvin cycle, there will be produced this one, G3P, G3P, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the final product, but when is adding to RUBP. There's gonna be intermediate product over here. It's called the 3PG. Okay, 3PG, 3-phosphoglyceride. So the 3PG. Okay, so this should be the answer, not this one. I'm sorry, this is final product. So again, sometime when we try to answer questions, okay, we make sure what is actually the questions about. So this question is actually asking not the final product, but the intermediate product over here, right after the carbon dioxide added into the RUBP, okay, ribose biphosphate, which is produce the 3PG. Okay, so the answer will be 3PG. Okay. How many molecules of carbon dioxide are needed to generate 1 molecule of glucose? Again, if you go to the previous explanation, each of the cycle needs 3 carbon dioxide, right? 3 carbon dioxide. So total is requires 6 carbon dioxide to produce 1 molecules of glucose. Okay. Where do the carbon atoms in glucose come from? Where do the carbon atom in glucose come from? Again, we're going to do this formula. Okay, photosynthesis. Okay, I'm sorry. 6 water plus 6 carbon dioxide, light or photon, and then glucose and then 6 oxygen. Okay, so the atom carbon over here, if you see, okay, here, okay, carbon in the glucose, yeah, where is coming from? From here. Okay, so it's reduced from carbon dioxide. So it's easy actually. If you know the formula, then you can trace where is the C coming from. Again, the C is coming from the carbon dioxide. Most atmospheric oxygen come from photosynthesis. Yeah, so photosynthesis again, 6 water plus 6 carbon dioxide, light, glucose, and then 6 oxygen is coming from this photosynthesis. Okay, photosynthesis produce this oxygen and of course produce this food. Okay, the glucose. From which of the following molecule is the oxygen derived? Now, again, there are light reaction. Okay, like light dependent reaction, and then second one is the light independent reaction, which is Calvin cycle. Okay, this light dependent reaction or light reaction is actually the one that use the water and then the photon coming. Remember, it will produce ATP and then NADPH Okay, but it also will release the oxygens, will release the oxygen to the air. Okay, so that's the oxygen is coming. While the Calvin cycle is still, remember again, this is the one that use the carbon dioxide combined with the RUBP to produce the glucose. Okay, so if you trace this reaction, this carbon dioxide is the one that converted into glucose. The water with the light will be converted into oxygen. Okay, so that should be the answer. Oxygen is actually coming from the water. For photosynthesis in green plant, the electron donor for the light-dependent reaction is, what is the electron donor? Again, it's gonna be, uh, let's say this is thylakoid membrane with photosystem 2, okay, a photon, which is the light, and it's require water over here. Okay, so require water in order to produce the electron, go to photosystem 1, and then another light coming, and then electrons will be here, go to the NADP reductase to produce the NADPH, right? And then hydrogen ions or the proton will enter into the lumen of the thylakoid. So what is needed actually as a donor for electron over here? Water. Okay, so photon will convert this water into electron. So water is used as a donor for the electron. So water. In the light independent reaction, again, light independent reaction is the same as Calvin cycle. Carbon dioxide is added to 5 carbon molecule known as this one, RUPP. Okay, ribulose biphosphate. There are actually, let's say, one circle of it is carbon, so it has 5 carbon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then in each end it has phosphate. Therefore, it's called the ribulose biphosphate. There are two phosphate. Okay, so there are and this name, this molecule is called the ribulose D biphosphate. RUPP. Ham and C4 likely grow in what type of environment? This is a special plant that able to live in a very dry and uh, arid, okay, and very hot. So arid, okay, is arid mean tropical, okay. So hot and dry, okay, hot and dry area. So this is the CAM and C4 plant. They're able to live in a very dry and hot climate. Organisms that depend on energy stored in chemical bonds by other organisms for their food energy is called, okay, remember we talk about autotroph, right, which is a producer. This is plant and algae. So this is the one that able to produce their own food producer. No, other organisms that depend on energy stored in the autotroph, in the producer, is going to be called the hetero. Hetero mean other. Remember, troph means food. Okay, so these organisms have to take food from other. Therefore, it's called a heterotroph. Okay, so energy store by other organism. In this case, is producer, and this heterotroph will be also known as consumer. Okay, so autotroph are producer, heterotroph are consumers. The law of thermodynamics that state that energy cannot be created or destroyed is, so there are law is called a thermodynamic, consists of two main law. Okay, thermodynamic one and thermodynamic two. Okay, the law of thermodynamic one and the two, first and second, only two. Right? So the one that state that energy cannot be created uh, or destroyed is called the first law. So this is the first law of thermodynamic. So basically, energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it can be converted from one form to another. Okay, example is the light energy from the sun. It can be converted into chemical energy. Chemical light energy eh, can be converted into chemical energy in the food, which is in the glucose by plant. Okay, so that's the first law of thermodynamics. The law of thermodynamics that state that increase in entropy alpha 4 is, okay, so after the first law, there's going to be the second law that mentions that the conversions of energy, remember, energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it can be converted. The conversion will not be 100%. It will be produce what we call the entropy. Entropy means disorder, disorderness. Okay, so that's the second law of thermodynamics. The conversion of energy will not be 100% efficient. It will always produce the disorderness or entropy, increase the entropy. You eat a bowl of bean as part of your dinner. As you digest the beans, the proteins that are present get broken down to their component of amino acid. So amino acid is the building block of protein. As your body destroys the micromolecules that were present in the beans, is the energy present those molecules destroyed? Again, what is the rule for the first law of thermodynamics? Energy cannot be destroyed, cannot be created, but it can be converted. Okay? So is the energy, of course, the answer will be no. What? No. Now we have four choices over here. So yes, gonna be wrong. Yeah, no, 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 no. What is the next? No, while the vast majority of energy contained in this micromolecule is converted to heat, it is not actually destroyed. Yes, the energy contained within this macromolecule is converted into other form of chemical energy and kinetic energy through some loss of heat. Okay. No, breaking down molecule does not lead the release. No, it will release energy, but the most correct answer for this one will be B and C. C will be the correct one because the conversion is not only heat, not only, okay, but energy can be converted into another form, in this case, chemical energy like food, and then kinetic energy like a movement, okay, and also of course the heat. Okay, so this is the most correct answer for this question. A calorie is a commonly used unit of chemical energy. It is also known the unit of calorie. Usually when you do exercise, you actually release the calorie, and the calories can be uh, used as a unit of heat also. Okay, how many calorie you burn, basically how many heat calorie. Okay, that will be used. The amount of energy available to do work is called amount of energy. Okay, so the amount of energy that we can use that is available for us to do work is actually the free energy. Okay, so this is called the free energy. The energy needed to destabilize existing chemical bond and start a chemical reaction is called start chemical reaction. This is called ABCOT. This is the one that is used for activate. Activate. Okay, so activation of reaction is called the activation energy. A particular reaction has negative delta G. However, this reaction takes many years to proceed in the absence of enzyme. Why is this the case? So in our body, okay, the food that we eat can be broken down into kinetic energy. However, okay, in order to reach this reaction, then we have to use what we call the activation energy over here. Without the activation energy, then this reaction will not be happening. So this activation energy over here, okay, activation require enzyme. That's the reason why we produce enzyme in our body. Okay, so without enzyme, there will be no reaction. Just like, for example, if we have a log of wood, okay, there is potential energy over here, right? But in order to burn this log, we need activation energy, which is fire or light. Okay, so we use for example, we fire this log. Whenever we lighting this log, then the log will be burned. The energy will be used, right? So this over here is the activation energy. Okay, so well, in this case, this reaction does not obey the second law. It's not correct. This reaction does not proceed spontaneously. That may be okay. The initial free energy of the reaction is much less. The final free energy is actually more. Okay, over here is a lot more energy. A certain amount of activity is required for the reaction to process. So the answer will be this one. It's require activation energy, and this activation energy can be lowered by enzyme. So enzyme are needed to lower the activation energy. A drug binds to active site of an enzyme. If it is bound to the active site of the enzyme, it prevents substrate binding. This drug would be considered as. So enzymes gonna be look like this. Let's say we have enzyme like this, eh? And then we have substrate like say B, B over here, eh? That that fit with this site. And this what's called the active site, the site for substrate. And this is substrate. Okay, so if there is another molecule, maybe look like this, okay, this one can be also put here or going here. So it's actually compete. okay, compete for the active site. Okay, so this one is called the competition. It's called a competitive inhibitor, which is the molecule that compete for the active site. Okay, so there is another site over here on the enzyme. It's called the allosteric site. If there is a molecule that maybe look like this bind to this one and then causing the enzyme does not work, that's going to be called the allosteric inhibition or inhibitor. Okay, so the question is actually on the active side, so it's going to be competitive inhibitor. Hexokinase is an enzyme that binds physically to glucose and converts into glucose 6-phosphate. The activity of hexokinase is suppressed by glucose 6-phosphate, which bind to the hexokinase at the location that is distinct from the active site. This is an example of, okay, so let's say this is glucose. There is enzyme, it's called the hexokinase, okay, and uh, converted into glucose 6-phosphate. This is glucose, okay, and then this is product, right? One of the product. Okay, so this hexokinase is bind to this. Let's say this product, because they produce a lot, when it is produced a lot, it's become also binding to the enzyme. So this is the, let's say the enzyme. Over here, it's binding here, they compete, inhibit, okay, to inhibit the product. And from here, then you should be able to guess this inhibition is actually called the feedback. If there are too much product, it actually will inhibit the reaction. Okay, it's called the feedback inhibition. So this is the controlling only certain amount of products will be produced. If it is too many, the extra product will uh, do their inhibition. Okay, that's what we call the feedback inhibition. In an enzyme catalyzed reaction, the reactant is called the, okay, so plus enzyme, okay, you have this, okay. So this is reactant, this is product, okay. So the reactant is also known as a substrate. So the answer should be the substrate. The organic non-protein component that aid the enzyme functions are called. Okay, let's say this is enzyme. Okay, it has active site over here. Let's say this is an active site. Okay, there is allosteric site. This is active site. Okay, sometimes this allosteric site needed molecule to uh, make the enzyme to be functional. Okay, yeah, this one is called the activator. Okay, let's say molecule like this is activator. If this activator is organic, okay, and then this activator will be called as coenzyme. Okay, if this activator is inorganic molecule, like metal, for example, this cofactor or activator is called a cofactor. Okay, just different molecules can be activator. If it is organic, the activator is called the coenzyme. Example is vitamin. Vitamin is a coenzyme. And if this inorganic molecules, that activator is called the cofactor. Example is many metals like zinc, for example, used as activator. So non-protein, organic. So this is organic, which is this one. Okay, then it's going to be called the coenzyme. The inorganic non-protein component that participate in enzyme catalysis are known as, so this is going to be the inorganic activator. It's going to be called the cofactor. The chemistry of living system representing all chemical reaction is called. So inside our body, inside our cell, we have a chemical reaction. Okay. All the chemical reaction inside our body is called metabolism. And this metabolism will be consist of two reactions. Uh, if the reaction is actually produce bigger molecules or synthesize bigger molecule, that's going to be called the anabolisms, which is synthesize, a synthesis reaction. Like photosynthesis, for example. Photosynthesis is an example of anabolism. If the reaction actually break down bigger molecule into smaller molecules, is called catabolisms. This is decomposition, break down bigger molecule. So that's the chemical reactions inside our body is called metabolism. So all chemical reaction is called metabolism. Metabolic reaction fall under two general categories, anabolic and catabolic. Again, metabolism consists of anabolism and catabolisms. What type of chemical reaction are these two classes of metabolic reaction? So, anabolics is a reaction that, okay, anabolism is a synthesis making bigger molecule. So if it is synthesis, okay, it's gonna be require energy. Just remember, photosynthesis is require energy from the light, right? Require energy. It means that energy enter into the reaction. It's called the endergonic. So the energy enter into reaction. Catabolism, this is decomposition reaction. Decomposition. It's going to be release energy. So release means exit, right? It's going to be called the exergonic reaction. So look from this explanation, okay, try to find it. Anabolic reaction are exergonic. It's not. Anabolic reaction is endergonic, right? Both anabolic and catabolic reaction are no, it's not. One endergonic, one exergonic. Both anabolic reaction, no. Okay. Anabolic reaction are endergonic, whereas the catabolic reaction exergonic. That's the answer. Animals that take in oxygen from their environment break down glucose into carbon dioxide and water in a process called, okay, so this is example of catabolic reaction. Catabolic reaction. Break down a bigger molecule into smaller molecule. In this case, glucose is big molecule, okay? And then with oxygen, so we breathe in oxygen, we eat food, we breathe in oxygen, then it will produce, the main product is actually ATP, plus 6 water and 6 carbon dioxide. Okay, bigger molecule into smaller molecules. Okay, this is catabolic reaction, and energy is released. This is exergonic, right? Exergonic reaction. Now, this reaction over here that's happening inside our body, our cell in special organelle is called mitochondria. This reaction over here is called the cellular respiration. Okay, and because it's require air. Air, this is oxygen, air, is also known as an aerobic. Okay, cellular aerobic respiration, sometimes it's called just cellular respiration or aerobic respiration because it requires air, oxygen. In glycolysis, a major portion of the energy remains in the final product, which is called cellular respiration, which is a catabolisms inside our body. Okay, this actually again use the food, glucose, and then oxygen, to produce ATP. Usually about 34 to 38 ATP will be produced, and then it will produce extra molecule, uh, uh, water, and then waste molecules, waste product, which is the carbon dioxide. Okay. Now, the cellular respiration, okay, this reaction over here consists of several steps. The first step is called the glycolysis. This is occurring in cytoplasm. Okay, so this is when the uh, glucose, okay, converted into 2 pyruvate. Okay, so glucose has 6 carbon, pyruvate has 3 carbon each. Okay, and then these pyruvates will go to the next reaction. Is called the preparatory reaction, and this will convert the pyruvate into 2-acetyl coenzyme A. Okay, and the next ones will be called as Krebs cycle. Okay, this Krebs cycle will use the acetyl coenzyme A in the cycle to produce several ATP and ADH, FADH, okay, ATP, okay, and then the last step's gonna be electron transport chain, and this one, the one that will convert an ADH and FADH2 into ATP. Okay, so the question over here asking about glycolysis. What is the product of glycolysis? This will be pyruvate over here. So the other three process over here is happening in the mitochondria. Okay, so glycolysis happening in the cytoplasm, but the other three process or stages are happening inside the mitochondria. What stage of cellular respiration can occur in human cell with or without oxygen present? So when you talk about glycolysis, prep reaction, Krebs cycles, and then the ETC, okay, the one that convert glucose into ATP, A plus pyruvate over here. This one is not require oxygen yet. Oxygen will be needed at the end of the reaction, which is in the ETC, electron transport chain. So this one produce ATP without oxygen. So that is the glycolysis. This process is common to all living cells. So all living cells, whether aerobic or anaerobic organisms, they're able to produce ATP without oxygen. And that first process is going to be called the glycolysis. So all organism will be able to perform glycolysis. Okay. But anaerobic bacteria, for example, will only do the glycolysis. It will not perform the next process, the next three steps or stages of the cellular respiration. So glycolysis will be happening on all organism or living cell. What is the net number of ATP generated directly during glycolysis per molecule of glucose? So during this glycolysis, okay, it's only 2 ATP produced plus 2 pyruvate. Okay, so only 2 net is very little. Okay, very few number of ATP produced on the glycogen. That's the reason why this, for the cellular respiration, these 2 pyruvate then can be used again for the next 3 stages that finally will produce another 34 or 36 ATP on the next 3 stages. All of the reaction of cellular respiration that occur after glycolysis take place in what part? I already mentioned glycolysis is happening in cytoplasms, okay? But the next reaction, the next stages, okay, which is the Krebs reaction, Krebs cycle, and etc., will be occurring in mitochondria. What are the product of one turn of citric acid cycle? So citric acid cycle, ACAC, is the same as a Krebs cycle. Okay, there will be 2 Krebs cycle in the mitochondria, CAC, CAC. Okay, this is the time when the oxygen is actually used to produce the ATP. Oh, sorry. Uh, this is when the acetyl-CoA, acetyl coenzyme A, which is coming from the pyruvate, enter to the uh, citric, citric acid cycle or Krebs cycle. Okay, and then it will produce ATP. Okay? Let's say we have 2 Krebs cycle over here. So it will release carbon dioxide, okay, and then NADH, uh, FADH2, and of course ATP. Okay, so each cycle only produce 2 ATP and then 1 FADH and then 3 NADH and 2 carbon dioxide. The other one over here will also produce 2 carbon dioxide, 3 NADH, 1 FADH, 2, and then 2, 1 ATP. Okay, 1 ATP over here. So 1 ATP. So if you total combine together, there will be 4 carbon dioxide, 6 NADH, 2 FADH, 2, and then 2 ATP. Okay, so you should read the textbook again, okay, to see this one. So this is total for 2, but the question of is a 1 turn, so 1 of this. Each turn will only produce uh, this one, 2 carbon dioxide, right? 3 NADH, 1 FADH2, and 1 ATP right here. Okay? But if it is asking you the total, the 2 turns, then it's going to be the answer should be this one. But 1 turn is this answer. What happened to the oxygen that is used in cellular respiration? The oxygen, it is the one that will be converted into the, look at the reaction again. Okay, oxygen over here produce ATP plus 6 water plus 6 carbon dioxide. So this is the one that will go here. And oxygen is the one that will reduce into water. So it will reduce into water. Under standard conditions, ATP can release for every molecule converted to ATP. So this is actually the formula. 1 ATP will produce 7.3 kilocalorie energy. Okay, so this is the formula that is measured based on the research. 1 ATP will give us 7.3 kilocalorie of energy. So this is memorization. The synthesis of sugar molecule through the process of photosynthesis requires energy absorbed from sunlight. Bearing this in mind, what kind of reaction is photosynthesis? Require energy. Imagine enter. So it's going to be endergonic. Remember the previous explanation, right? So the photosynthesis is endergonic reaction. A particular chemical reaction is exergonic. So this is exit, the energy exit or release. What can you say about the relationship between the reaction and the products in this exergonic reaction? Okay, so it means that this is from big molecules. This is the catabolism. Big molecule, okay, into many smaller molecule like cellular respiration. So this is catabolism. So based on information, because energy release over here, the big molecule will have more energy, right? Which the reactant have more free energy than the product. Yeah. The reactant are likely more. No, the reactant cannot spontaneously react. Have lower. Okay, so this should be the answer. It has higher or bigger, more energy or free energy. When an atom and or molecule gains one or more electron, is said to be, when this gains electron, it has to be reduced. So this is a reduction reaction. Why do we have storage macromolecules such as fats in our bodies? A, B, C, or D. So you have to read, and this is kind of logical, that we can break down this molecule to provide energy for endergonic reaction in our body. So these big molecules, the storage molecule has a lot of free energy. You are studying an enzyme catalyzed reaction that induces a particular cellular activity in the lab. If you wanted to slow down that particular cellular activity by controlling the enzyme, what could you do? Okay, on the previous chapter, we mentioned about reaction. Okay, if we want to increase reactions, then we increase the heat, adding substrate, okay, adding enzyme, etc. So if we want to reduce the reaction, we're gonna do the opposite of this. Okay? Decrease temperature. Yes, that's already the answer. Okay, so decrease the temperature. In synaptic signaling, neurotransmitters are released into space that is referred to as blank. Now, neurotransmitter is released by neuron. Let's say this is a neuron. Release neurotransmitter over here. Neurotransmitter is actually chemical. It's released into this space. Let's say this is muscle. This cell is called the synaptic cleft. So release into the synaptic cleft. And because this is the neurotransmitter is chemical, then this synapse is called a chemical synapse. What is the function of protein kinase? Protein kinase. Okay, so this is inside our cytoplasm. We have protein kinase, and the name is telling you there is a phosphor involved or ATP. So this kinase protein is actually two 8-phosphate groups into the protein. So the protein become active. From inactive into active protein by using this protein kinase. And this protein kinase will add phosphor, and phosphorus has a P has a lot of energy. It's causing the protein become active. This molecule can directly convert extracellular signals into intracellular signal. Okay, so this is to talk about our cell. Let's say this is a messenger. Okay, let's say example is hormone. Hormone bind. It could be bind to receptor on the cell membrane, and then it can activate another molecule over here. It's called the second messenger. And the second messenger can activate the protein using the protein kinase. Okay, so this second messenger is located in the cytoplasm. Okay, and then the one that activate directly convert this extracellular signal, which is the hormone, into inside process over here. It's going to be called as the membrane receptor. When bound to a ligand, this type of receptor change conformation to allow ions to move down their concentration gradient across the membrane. So ligand. So let's say we have a ligand, maybe neurotransmitter. Okay, let's say this is muscle cell. That muscle cells have the channel that have the receptor. Okay, so when the ligand bind to this receptor, it will open this channel. So the molecule will enter, let's say sodium enter into the cell. Now, what do you call this? What do you call this receptor? It's going to be channel-like receptor because it's creating a channel. So this channel, this receptor is actually, let's say, sodium-gated channel. Okay, because it has gate for sodium to enter, and on the gate, it has a receptor to receive the something like a neurotransmitter or maybe hormone in order to close or open that channel. The cell surface receptor that can act only indirectly on plasma membrane bound enzyme or ion channel are called A, B, C, or D. So this is special uh, receptor Okay, on the cell membrane, receptor. This is receptor. Okay, and then there is a G protein over here that when the receptor when this is receptor and this is, let's say, hormone. Okay, so this is receptor for hormone. That when the hormone bind to the receptor, okay, there will be activated G protein to produce, let's say, the second messenger over here. Okay, so this one is called the G protein couple receptor that will activate the G protein to produce another molecule inside the cytoplasm. Some enzymatic receptor and most G protein couple receptor transmit the signal into the cytoplasm by using other substances. I already put that picture, the name of the substances on the previous explanation within the cytoplasm that refer as, we call it the second messenger. Okay, so the second messenger inside the cytoplasm. What property define most ligands for intracellular receptor? So the receptor is actually inside the cell. So let's say this is the cell, this is nucleus, this is the DNA. So some receptor are actually located here, receptor, and then hormone. Let's say testosterone. The hormone enter and cross the membrane. You see this? There is no receptor in the membrane because this hormone able to cross the cell membrane and finally bind to the receptor over here. So this is what we call the intracellular receptor. So what kind of hormone or what kind of ligand that actually able to go to this inside receptor, intracellular receptor, is gonna be the one that lipid soluble because they're able to cross the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. So there will be lipid soluble hormone. Example is testosterone or estrogen. They are lipid soluble hormone. How does the organization of bacterial genome differ from organism of eukaryotic genome? So we're talking about eukaryotic cell and prokaryotic cell, which is bacteria. Okay? How they are different in uh, their chromosome. So bacteria, they don't have nucleus, right? The chromosome usually circular, only one circular chromosome. Okay. While for the eukaryotic cell, like human cell, for example, the chromosome, there are many, mostly diploid, right? Diploid chromosome, maybe 2,000 or 100 uh, chromosome. Okay. So the compaction of eukaryotic genome involves structural maintenance circular. So this is bacteria, they are circular. The eukaryotic chromosome contained in nucleus, and they are not circular. So this should be the answer. The point of constriction on chromosome that contains certain repeated DNA sequence that bind specific protein is called, let's say this is a chromosome. When it starts to divide, okay, like that, they are actually bind in this area. And this area is called the centromere. Okay? If it is not divided yet, it's gonna be the same, it's just one. So this is centromere. During meiosis, sister chromatids are held together by sister chromatids. Okay, so again, when it is divide, the chromosome will be look like X over here. This is chromatid. Okay, this is one of this is chromatid. Okay, this is another chromatid. Yeah, because they are on the same chromosome, then they are called a sister. This is hold over here, held together in the centromere, with the proteins is called the cohesin. So there is a protein, cohesin protein that's located in the centromere that holds these two sister chromatids. In bacterial cell division, the cell divides into two nearly equal half. This process is referred as, so this is the name of bacteria reproduction. Is called one cell divide into two cell divide into four. Okay, so every time they divide, they are become two by. Okay, so it's called binary fission. The number of chromosomes in diploid eukaryotic cell is 46. Now, this is human. If it is talking about human, yes, but it is all eukaryotic cell. So all is going to be diploid, which is pairs. So therefore, maybe 2 over maybe 1,000. And human, 46. Yeah, human is 46, which is 23 plus 23 chromosome. Right? So pairs of chromosome. So this gonna be varies between 2 to 1,000. The two copies of each type of chromosome found on normal somatic body cell in an organism throughout the cell cycle are called the two copies. So let's say this is one chromosome. Then there is another chromosome that is very similar. And then another one pair similar, and etc. Until the last pair over here, they are similar. So each of these is called the homologs. Okay, homologous chromosome. So this is homolog, homolog, homologs, homologs. So if it is human, they're gonna be 23 pair. Each pair will be homolog. This one is actually coming from like mother chromosome. This is coming from father chromosome. So it's always the same. It's called the homologous chromosome or pairs chromosome. The pairing of homologous chromosome is called, okay, it's called the synapsis. Just this is a theory, right? What is the sequence of event in a typical eukaryotic cell cycle? So cell cycle consists of two main cycle. The first one over here is called the interphase. Okay, very long cycle. And this over here is called the mitotic phase. Okay, now the interphase consists of three main stages. The first one is called G1, and then S or synthesis, and the G2. Okay, so the mitotic phase will be also consist of two main stages. The first stage is called the mitosis. Okay, and this one is cytokinesis. Okay, so that's the cell cycle. Cell cycle. Okay, what is the sequence of an is the cell cycle? So it's gonna be start from G1. Okay, all start from G1, and then after that it's S. Oh, so it's gonna be these two over here. So this one is incorrect. S and then G2. Okay, so G2, yes. And then mitosis first. Mitosis and then cytokinesis. So B should be the correct answer. The stage of cell cycle during which cytoplasm divide to form two cells is called. This is the last cycle over here. We call the cytokinesis. This stage of cell cycle is characterized by growth and it contains the checkpoint to verify that all the DNA has been replicated prior to the mitosis. Okay, so again, gonna be like this. Okay, G1 as G2, and this is mitosis, cytokinesis. So this one is characterized by the checkpoint before going to the mitosis. Okay, it's gonna be G2 over here. A duplicate copy of all the heredity information contained in the nucleus of eukaryotic cell is made during what stage of cell cycle? Again, we're gonna do like this. G1, S, G2, M, and C. Okay, cytokinesis. So all the copy happening here during synthesis. Okay, so synthesis is the time when all the hereditary information content in the nucleus is made during the S, the synthesis. The physical distribution of cytoplasmic materials in the two daughter cells in plant cell referred to as. Okay, so yeah, so this is going to be the last process, which is the cytokinesis. Okay, after mitosis, then cytokinesis, daughter cell. Okay, so this process is, let's say this is mitosis, that consists of prophase, then metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and this process over here is a cytokinesis that will split into two daughter cells. So the answer will be cytokinesis. Before cell division of somatic cell, each chromosome must be replicated. After replication, the resulting two parts of each chromosome are held together by cohesin at the centromere. These two parts as referred as we already mentioned this. Okay, so there is a centromere with cohesin. Each of these is called a chromatid, and because they are at the same chromosome, it's going to be sister. So it's a sister chromatid. As scientists want to study histone, histones are protein that double strands DNA molecule wrap around in eukaryote. Yes, so there is a, let's say this is DNA. There is a histone that wrap around the DNA. So that should be the answer over here. In what portion of cell cycle do the chromosomes appear invisible under the light microscope because they are not yet condensed? Okay, so let's say this is this whole process or stages over here called the interphase. Okay, during interphase, if you see the nucleus, the chromosome is not visible because the chromosome is called the chromatin. Now, during mitosis over here, then the nuclear envelope will be gone and the nucleus will be, sorry, the chromosome will be visible. This is called the chromosome. This is during mitosis. That consists of prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. So the one that is not visible is during the interphase. Interphase is made of what stage in the cell cycle? Okay, so this is interphase G1S G2. G1, G1, G2, and S. Actually, S first before G2. This is the stage of mitosis characterized by alignment of chromosome in a ring along the inner circumference of the cell. So mitosis consists of 4 stages. The first stage is called prophase. During this time, the chromosome will be start to divide. So you're going to see X-like chromosome and then go to metaphase. During metaphase, the chromosomes will be aligning in the middle of the cell. And then the next one's going to be anaphase. The cell will be elongate and the chromosome is separate into the pole of the cell. Okay. And then after that, if it is animal cell, the chromosome then will be aligning, separate, and then the nuclear envelope will be reformed. This is a telophase. And then after that, the cytokinesis will produce 2 identical cells over here. So prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. That's the stages of mitosis. Question is, state of mitosis characterized by the alignment of the chromosome in the ring along the inner circumference of the cell. So aligning here in the middle. That's going to be metaphase. The state of metaphase characterized by the physical separation of chromatids is called, this is anaphase. So during the anaphase, the chromosome will be separated. The state of metastasis is characterized by the disassembly of spindle apparatus, the re-establishment of the nuclear membrane, and the decondensation of the chromosome. This is during this one. Okay, so the nuclear envelope reappear, and then chromosomes will be here. Okay, and this is the telophase. During this stage of mitosis, the nuclear envelope begin to break down and the spindle begin to form. This is gonna be the first phase, which is the prophase. The nuclear envelope disappear, and the chromosomes start to divide. Okay, it's gonna be X kind of shape, and then spindle fiber will be created. Okay, that's happening during the prophase. Animal cell typically achieve cytokinesis by, okay, so let's say this is telophase in animal cell. So animal cell is creating this kind of pinching the cell. That one is called the cleavage furrow. Okay, and then what happened? It pins the cell, okay, into 2 daughter cells. So this one is cytokinesis. So before cytokinesis, during this telophase, then is production of this cleavage furrow. Okay. How about plant cell? So plant cell, it has cell wall. Okay, so this is almost separate. This is a telophase. They don't have a cleavage furrow, but they created a plate. It's called the cell plate. And finally, this will fuse together, okay, and produce two daughter cell, okay, using this cleavage, the cell plate. Cell plate. Why is it so important that all the chromosome aligns on the metaphase plate during metaphase? Why? Okay, why it has to be in the middle over here, and then have to be aligned nicely. A, B, C, or D. No, that they aren't properly. That's this one separate properly. Oh, yes, this is going to be the answer. If they cannot align, then they will not separate properly. Right? So that should be the answer. The progress of eukaryotic cell cycle is regulated primarily by the proteins called cycle. Then sometimes the name protein is just the same. It's going to be cyclins. What is separase? The name is, this is ACE mean enzyme. If you see word and with ACE, that's mean an enzyme. This is the enzyme or proteins that separate. Okay, and that destroy cohesion through the protein. So it separate. Let's say, let's remember again, this is the chromosome. It has centromere, right, with cohesin, and this is sister chromatid. When they are separate, they need enzyme separase to destroy this cohesin. It then the sister chromatids will separate into chromosomes. If you were to think of the cell as a car and mitosis as a process that drives that car to go, what would be a good analogy for a cell that has mutation in both copies of tumor suppressor genes? Okay, A, B, C, or D. So we make an analogy with a car. So if there is mutations in the suppressor tumor suppressor gene, it means that the cell will not stop dividing. Okay, it will be consciously divided, and that cell is called tumor cell or cancer cell. So it's similar if the brake, okay, the brake does not work. These proteins or protein complex functions in the cell to stop cell division if the cell has experienced extensive DNA damage. So there is a special name, okay, of the protein that actually suppress the cell division or control cell division, that called the proto-oncogene, which is equal to P53. So this is the name of the proteins. If these proteins being destroyed or have mutation, the proto-oncogene is become oncogene, and this one causing cancer. Okay, so let's say mutation causing proto-oncogene into oncogene. So the name of that protein is called the P53. Edward van Beneden proposed that an egg and a sperm, each containing half of the complement of chromosome found in the somatic cell. fuse to produce a single cell call. So this is actually fertilization between sperm and egg produce what? A zygote. Blank is a process of nuclear division that reduces the number of chromosomes per cell from 2 set to 1 set. So from diploid into haploid cell. Okay, and the process is called meiosis. Blank cell contain 1 set of chromosome. As we remember, we already mentioned that diploid into haploid. Diploid is double, 2 set. This is 1 set. In life cycle that alternate between haploid and diploid stages, fertilization doubles the number of chromosomes per cell, while blank reduce it in half. Again, the one that reduces the chromosome number is called meiosis. Diploid organism use meiosis to produce haploid cell. Meiosis consists of how many rounds of nuclear division? It's going to be there are meiosis 1 and then continue with the meiosis 2. Meiosis 1 will consist of 4 stages, which is prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. It's going to be the same over here. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. And because this is stage 1, it's going to be P1, M1, A1, T1, P2, M2, A2, and T2. So 2 stages or 2 rounds. Meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. What immediately follow meiosis 1? Okay, after meiosis 1, it's going to be always cytokinesis. And this one's going to be cytokinesis 1. And then after cytokinesis 1, there will be meiosis 2. Okay, so it's going to be that one. And meiosis 2, again, consists of prophase 2, and then metaphase 2, anaphase 2, telophase 2. Okay, so it's going to be this one. If we're looking for the choices over here, going to be prophase 2. Homologous chromosomes pairs along their lengths during prophase 1 of meiosis. While 2 homologs are paired, genetic exchange might occur between them in process called, so let's say this is homologous chromosome that start to divide. It's gonna be look like an X, okay? And then the other one's gonna be here, okay? So you're gonna see here, this is chromatids. What chromatid? There are 4 chromatids. These 2 chromatids is non-sister. Non-sister chromatid. And these non-sister chromatids can exchange the gene. And this process is called the crossing over. Okay. Crossing over. Okay. With a structure called the chiasma or chiasma. So crossing over. Evidence of crossing over can be often be seen under the light microscope as a structure called already mentioned, the structure of stressing crossing over is called the chiasma. You are comparing the events of meiosis 1 in cell from several different organisms. You come across one species in which you do not observe any chiasmata, no chiasma, okay? The best conclusion to make it, look at this one. Okay, one chromosome, another homologous chromosome over here. The crossing over only happening between non-sister chromatid. It will not happening between sister chromatid. So this is sister, this is non-sister. So there is no crossing over between uh, sister. What? Uh, you are comparing the event of medicine cell from several different. You come across one species which you have. Okay, you don't see the uh, chiasma, so it means that the cell or the chromosome will be like this. So you don't see the crossing over between the non-sister chromatids. Okay, so it means that you observe this one, no crossing over because no chiasma. Which of the following statements about crossing over is false? A, B, C, or D. Crossing over take place between homologous chromosome. Crossing over take place between sister chromatids. So this is not the chromosome itself, but between the chromatids. Which chromatid? Sister? No, it's not sister chromatid. Crossing over occurs during person. Say crossing over are called site of crossing over chiasmata. So this is actually our takes place between crossing over take false, the false. Okay. So yeah, the structure is called chiasmata. Crossing over take place between systems. That's the one that is false, right? Crossing happening during Prophase 1, the homolog, yeah. So this is the false. There there is no crossing over between sister chromatid. Just again, if you see this like this, there will be no crossing over between this sister chromatid or between this sister chromatid, only between non-sister chromatids. Crossing over between homologous chromosomes take place during, I already mentioned that, which is prophase 1. The fusion of male gamete with female gamete is called, this is a fertilization, is sometimes also called the syngamy. The zygote has one copy of each chromosome, one full haploid complement, chromosome identical, two copies. So zygote, this is combination between one copy from parents, from father and mother. It's going to be two copies of each chromosome. All animal cells are diploid except, okay, our cells are diploid except this gamete. What is gamete? In male is called sperm, okay? Gamete of female is called eggs. This is haploid. They are haploid. All of these are diploid. Compared to asexual reproduction, the main advantage of sexual reproduction is that A, B, C, or D. Remember, during crossing over, there is a exchange of gene. So it will increase diversity. Increase diversity. That's the reason why there are no two persons will be very similar. Even the twins, they are still have some differences because of this sexual reproduction increase the diversity of the offsprings. All of the following increase genetic variation except crossing, yes, increase, random increase, independent increase. The mitosis. Mitosis is a cell division that produce identical cell. There is no genetic variation in the mitosis. Which of the following produce new cell that are genetically identical to original cell? We already mentioned It's gonna be mitosis. The one that produce two identical daughter cells. In plants and animal, the zygote develops by which of the following process? Zygote. A. Fertilization. Again, the same as fertilization is the zygote developed by of the following is a mitosis. Okay, so zygote, this is one cell, and then develop into two cell, eight cell, four cell, and then eight cell, 16 cell, and etc. All of this process is mitosis. So we are growing due to the mitosis process. A person whose cells are contained chromosome with number 2 plus 1 uh, are most likely to have what type of condition? So this is actually, so normal chromosome number is called the euploidy. Okay. Abnormal chromosome number is called the aneuploidy. That maybe consists of monosomy or trisomy. Monosomy means less one chromosome, this one plus one chromosome. So it's a plus one in human, like for example, the euploid human, normal human will have 46 chromosomes. If it is monosomy, they only have 45 chromosomes. It is monosomy. If it is trisomy, they will have 47 chromosomes. So extra is called a trisomy. Example is Down syndrome. Down syndrome. Okay, a person with Down syndrome, they actually have 47 chromosome. That 47 is actually chromosome number 21. So there are extra one chromosome in chromosome number 1. Okay, if it is minus 1, it's called a monosomy. It's for this 5 chromosome. Example is Turner syndrome. Okay, this is a female that only have one X chromosome. So it's this. So female usually, if it is normal, gonna be 46 X, right? But this one less one chromosome. So that's monosome. Example is again Turner syndrome. Okay, so I think that's all. So good luck for your exam.